Hey everyone, this is Louis7 and I have some exciting news for the Lord of the Rings Online. My two primary sources today are one going to be a recent chat with Severlin, who is the executive producer for LOTRO, a recent stream on that, and as well as the new producer Raninia on the LOTRO forums. But to get into what we have today, first, I have news on the landscape difficulty feature that will be coming to new servers, as well as some other popular topics such as the Brawler and legendary item revamp and the such. And on top of that, there's just a bunch of random information that could be good for you to know. But to go ahead and get started, what I first want to cover is the new legendary servers. And yes, you heard me right with a plural there. We're getting two new legendary servers coming to LOTRO, and both of these will be featuring the new landscape difficulty options, it sounds like. If you're interested in more information specifically on that feature, I have a whole video dedicated to it because we didn't really get any new news on actually how that functions. But the exciting thing is the two new legendary servers. So I believe the target date for these was said to be perhaps the end of this month, end of June, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not something we see until July. But because we have no official confirmation on like an exact release date or even estimate, we'll go ahead and set that aside for now and cover what these two servers are. So they will be progression servers like we had with Anor and Ithil. But also in one primary way, these two legendary servers are very different. So the first one we have to cover is going to be Treebeard, and this legendary server is said to be the slower one. In that legendary server, it was announced you would gain XP slower, so you'll level up slower, and you will get new content updates slower, so they will progress through the level caps and all these sort of stuff a little bit slower for people who like the more relaxed pace and maybe taking their time, enjoying all the things to do in LOTRO, because there are tons of things to do, especially if you're completionist playstyle. I know a lot of people in, for example, my kinship that would welcome that slower pace, but for people who actually like to go through the content quickly, which sometimes does include myself and people I play with, there is going to be another legendary server that is faster. This one is going to be named Shadowfax, and this legendary server, unlike the slower one, Treebeard, will have XP gain potentially turned up, and it will get new updates released quicker. And one reason I'm actually excited about two servers, even though I don't plan to play on both servers because that would be splitting my time up way too much, this is the type of thing that can fit both playstyles for people that like to play slow and progress slowly, and people who like to progress quickly. This has actually been perhaps a huge problem with the current legendary server and their progression, is that for the first few updates, a lot of people that I played with thought they were going too fast, but other people actually thought they were going too slow, especially if you just go through the new content really quickly in a couple weeks, and then you run out of things to do. But for people who want to go slower, you just never actually catch up and never really get to running the end game where things like that are get to get ults to level cap and have that fun variation in gameplay. And it seems like with Anor, it was basically right in between those two playstyles for being released too fast and too slow at the same time, so having two servers to split that up really just sounds like perhaps an ideal solution. Now, one concern I have is actually the splitting up part. There is the potential problem that I can foresee is this might split up the player base a little bit too much between these two legendary servers, but we will see how that plays out. Now, briefly to cover my plans for the servers, I honestly don't have that much at this point. I intended to at least try out the server because I'm really interested in the landscape difficulty feature, but it honestly depends on where the people I play with, if they actually go to one of these new legendary servers at least to sometimes play, not always play, but I will have to see where people I play with choose. Personally, just because I am a little bit of a slower player, especially because of like doing YouTube content and all this other stuff I do, I tend to progress slower because I don't really focus all my time on one server, one character, or things like that. I will probably prefer the Treebeard server, but potentially I could enjoy the Shadowfax and just leveling and progressing really quickly. But either way, I am excited to play on a new legendary server and with the landscape difficulty option. So to cover a little bit more about the landscape difficulty options and how that will roll out, first, it will be unique to these servers. It will not be on the regular live servers. It will first come to these legendary servers. After an amount of time, the amount of time is unannounced, we don't know exactly how long, but after an amount of time, it will be released, the feature will be released, that is, to all these servers, to all the live servers, the current legendary server of Anor, and all the other servers like Arkenstone that I play on. So that is all the news on the releases with those two major things, but one other thing we did get some information on was rewards. This is something I had a big concern with the landscape difficulty feature, is would it actually be rewarding to turn the difficulty up? And there are kind of two schools of thought I had. Is one, it needed to be rewarding to motivate me to actually turn the difficulty up. And number two is it didn't actually need to be rewarding, especially considering there are some exploitative type ways that you could just level up and get the rewards without actually doing content, even though you have the difficulty up. In general, I lean towards me probably losing motivation to turn the difficulty up unless it's actually rewarding, and unless I actually want for that specific character, whatever I'm doing, to have the difficulty higher. So ultimately, I'll probably play with the feature and on the new Legendary server. I just don't know how long I will last on keeping difficulty up on certain characters, and when we have new content released like the Gundabad expansion update 31 in the future, if this feature is present on the live servers, I probably won't have much reason to actually turn the difficulty up is what I am guessing in the future without more rewards, but maybe that is just okay. Now, what they did talk about with more rewards is we likely would not get more than what there is, besides maybe some cosmetic rewards. They were thinking about some cloaks and mounts. Now, I would be most excited for mounts, and I honestly would be disappointed with cloaks just because that's not much adding things. But I have found myself to be on a non-cloak kick lately. Now, I realize so far in this video I'm covering a lot of my opinion on things as well, but that's just because there isn't all that much news that we have that is really new compared to what I have covered in previous videos. But one thing we do have some interesting information on is the legendary item system, and they are working on the revamp for that. And it sounds like it will be an essence-like system, like you get items that you can slot into your legendary item. It will function perhaps like essences. There will also be a lot more player choice as their goal in how you kit your LI, and you might even get like set bonuses and the such with certain essences or these essence-like items. We'll see how that plays out, but that is the current information they shared on that. But there is one interesting note on the potential release date for the legendary item revamp, and it sounds like they're actually going to try to push that out this year, 2021, rather than the initially stated 2022, which is of course would be welcome because legendary item revamp, let's just say it's much needed, especially a lot of players do think that. So I will definitely be interested in how that turns out. I just hope that it is not all too grindy and actually feels like you are customizing your character and how they play rather than you are just going through the slow slog of progression with the system. But either way, that is what we have on the LI revamp. Now there is a related note on class balance changes, and this is where we actually have some conflicting information between the executive producer and the producer. So the executive producer said the next balance pass would actually just be the LI revamp. That in itself, because LIs are such an inherent part of a character's power and the class's power, changing the LI system will definitely change the balance of that class in whatever spec you are running. So essentially he interpreted the next class balance update would actually be the LI revamp, and then they would do the traditional class balance updates after the LI revamp. However, what the producer said on the LOTRO forums is they were targeting class balance change for either update 31 Gundabad or perhaps even before update 31 Gundabad. So I guess we will see which one of those wins out in the future. But either way, both of those sound quite exciting to me, and I am looking forward to them in the future. Now, towards the end here of the major exciting things, I do have some information on the Brawler, and there are two parts of this. First is it is only in early playtesting. I am kind of concerned with the class that it's already June of 2021, and I expect to release a brand new class later this year, and it's only in early playtesting at this point. I honestly feel like the class should be going, like, ideally to me from a player's perspective in beta right now. Now, I will say I don't really know the inner goings of releasing a new class from the developer's standpoint, so maybe this is actually okay. But one piece of information I have on the release date with the Brawler is we have basically been told that they were trying to get the Brawler ready for like a Gundabad pre-order so you could play the class before Gundabad actually comes out. But it sounds like there could potentially have been some delays there. They're now talking about it being ready for Gundabad instead of like for a Gundabad pre-order later this year. So we will see how that works out, but it's something to keep an eye on for when the Brawler will actually come out, because that could mean like a month or two or even 3 delay for all we know. But also with the Brawler, we did get some information. It sounds like they will wear heavy armor, and we do have the Knuckles weapon type confirmed. I already talked about the Knuckles weapon type, but it seems like that has been confirmed and they're just trying to do the art for that right now. Alright, moving on, there are a couple exciting topics, but I think they're overall relatively minor compared to what we have covered so far. So first is transfers off the closed worlds are actually soon. I know they keep saying that they are going to have that soon. It's been going on almost a year since they first started saying they'll have these transfers off the closed world soon, but it sounds like they're actually serious this time instead of the normal soon. So honestly, at this point, I have no idea if it will actually be soon. I'm just relaying the information on that. But hopefully for people who are stuck on closed worlds, it actually is soon, and we'll see that maybe within the next year at this point. But moving on, the next big minor thing I have is they are looking at lag, and an interesting note on this is they might be trying to get new servers, new hardware, and the such, but all that is a really long process. But either way, hopefully in the future we have less lag, maybe better servers, better hardware, and whatever goes on in lag. There are a lot of different factors that can cause lag in the game and with the servers and the such, but hopefully in the future it will be better, and just a thing to look out for. If you do have lag right now, maybe in the future it will be a little bit better for you. And there are two last pieces of information that are very miscellaneous, but first we have two-factor authentication they said is in their long-term plans and nothing soon. I know that was brought up kind of recently from something else, but it sounds like just long-term plans, and we'll maybe eventually get it in the future. Have no idea on that if we actually will or not. Now, another thing that might actually become a reality even this year is new character customization options for when you create your character. They're looking at a lot more diverse options for you to build your character. Now, one thing they said is hairs can be quite tough to do, hairstyles that is, so might not see any of those, or just might not get many, but faces, lips, things like all that other sort of stuff, skin color even, we can maybe get some new options when you customize your character with those, and that would be exciting, just to have more things to look at, more ways to customize your character and make it look the way you want. So I am looking forward to that, and of course we'll cover the new information whenever we get closer to actually seeing something like that. But alright, that is all I have for this video, covering some of the June 2021 news that we have for the Lord of the Rings Online. Again, the major things are the legendary servers coming with the landscape difficulty features, and then some information on the brawlers and legendary item revamp, which could be coming later this year it sounds like, and then a bunch of more miscellaneous type changes that I am actually looking forward to eventually seeing. Oh, and there is one thing I actually forgot about. River Hobbits were mentioned once again. They always come up in these Q&As, and it does still sound like they're thinking about trying to add those in 2022 to the game, so we'll keep an eye on those as well. But otherwise, that is actually all I do have for this video and this news update. I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something useful, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more, commenting your thoughts, or becoming a channel member to support the content. And thanks for watching, everyone.